No sugar, no carbs, no starch, no problem. This is a dish that's good for you, but feels like a guilty pleasure. Everything's off limits except the flavor. I recently lost nearly 30 pounds, and I did that by cooking for myself and getting really clever with the ways that I had things. And you would be amazed that by taking sugars, starches, carbs, removing that from your diet doesn't mean that you have to remove your taste buds from your face. You can have really tasty stuff that feels kind of guilty when you're eating it without that stuff included. And that's how I lost a bunch of weight. Also worked out every day, but 80% of that battle is the food. And these lettuce wraps were a huge staple and still are in my diet. Things like ginger and garlic and shallots are delicious, and they can add big, bold flavor to a lot of things that you make, including these pork lettuce wraps. So first thing up, chop a bunch of garlic, chop a bunch of ginger, chop a bunch of shallots. That stuff is super cheap and it's good flavor. Sometimes what I'll do at the beginning of the week, because I know when you're trying to lose weight and you're eating a low-calorie diet, you're hungry right now. So sometimes what I do is I'll get a bunch of garlic and then I'll puree it. Rub a little oil on it and then stick it in a bowl, and then anytime I need to make a quick lettuce wrap or a quick stir fry, the garlic's ready to go. Bash it up, and then some shallots. Nice and thin. That's gonna give some good flavor to these lettuce wraps. So this can be anything. It can be fish. It can be chicken breast. I'm using pork. This is fairly lean pork, and this is where the flavor comes into play. So first thing is a good pinch of salt. So after the salt comes in, there's some really tasty liquids. This is sesame oil. It's really nutty and a little goes a long way. That's why I like using the sesame oil. And then two types of soy sauce. One is low sodium, because I want to keep the sodium low, but the flavor high. And another version of soya is dark soya. It's the same soya beans to make soya sauce, but the beans are fermented longer. So this is going to give it some really nice dark color. Gorge. And then it's all about balance. Worcestershire for a little bit of acidity and a little bit of kick. And then some dry spices in this. Togarashi. Togarashi is a seasoning mix from Japan. It's funky, it's spicy, and it's got a lot of body, and there's barely any calories in it. I think there's zero. 0 calorie Togarashi. All right, and then some crunchy sesame seeds. You can use black, you can use white, toasted, untoasted, it doesn't matter. Get that sesame seed in there. And then this kind of a marinade or this kind of a pork lettuce wrap usually has sugar in it. But because it's so high powered, I put stevia in it. Stevia is a great sweetener, and you don't need a lot. Just a little bit is gonna give you that sweetness and give you that soya kind of style sauce that has all the complexity when there's brown sugar and white sugar and honey in it. You can do that all with stevia and then just give it a mix. That's a quick marinade for a lean cut of pork. Yummy. This little mixture with those flavorings have so many uses for me. One, I love doing it with lettuce wraps. Two, I do like a little veggie stir fry where I cut cabbage really nice and thin and use the cabbage as noodles and have this pork and or chicken on it. It's so good. And even sometimes I'll make this and call it snack pork. I'll just cook it off and then have it in an insert in the fridge, get some chopsticks. You can just eat that. It's so good. High in protein, no sugar, no carbs. There's a little bump in sodium, but if you're drinking water every day, no problem. This is really high powered, so I'm gonna make a high powered little vinaigrette. So when I put that in the lettuce wrap, then I have some green onions, then I have a little sauce to drizzle on top of it. And this one's super simple. I'm starting with some good old fashioned chili oil. And this is like a typical vinaigrette. So you're gonna need a good glug of oil and you're gonna need a shot of vinegar, 2 acids in this. One is some rice wine vinegar, just for like that really bright acidity that gets you right in the back of the kisser. And some lime for total freshness. Get a lime in there, and that's pretty good for the acid. A good balance of that chili oil, rice vinegar, lime, and then to sweeten it up, I'm using a little hot honey. Not too much, a little goes a long way. There's no sugar in there. A little honey won't kill you. Get that in there, and a nice little pinch of salt. That's how simple this little dressing is, and it's super high powered, it's super colorful, and it's nice and spicy. It's so good that this is a little sunshine in your life. You get some of that really nice seasoned pork and then that shows up. Woo! The clouds open up. The Simpsons. I really love this recipe because it's a great way to have a meal that feels really good, both on your mouth, in your mind, and in your belly. And it's really an example of how I did lose a lot of weight. And if you've got something in front of you that you want to accomplish, whether it's a weight loss goal, whether it's any goal that you have, I'm here to tell you that you can do it. I'm going to quote Jelly Roll. The windshield in front of you is way bigger than the rear view mirror because what's coming at you is way more important than what's behind you. And if you need to do something like this or you got the urge to do it, there's only one way that it's going to get you there, and that's elbow grease. You just got to put in the time. You got to put in the effort. And something like losing weight for me was a delayed response. I had to wait till I saw results. And I think anything in life that's good is hard, and it was hard. But once I saw some results, the momentum that kicked in was absolutely wild. I would intermittent fast. I would keep myself in a calorie deficit, and eating really clean proteins with stuff like Asian flavors can give you a lot of flavor, and it makes you feel good when you eat it and you know that it's good for you. I'm just here to say, if you've got something you need to accomplish, you can do it. I got your back. Let's cook some pork. Nice hot pan and some oil. Get the oil nice and hot, and when you pull the pork back, there's some liquid in the bottom of that bowl. You don't want the liquid in there just yet. You want to get a nice sear on the pork, and then at the end, I add that liquid in to kind of sauce it up. So go fast, get the pork in the pan. You should hear a real good sizzle. As soon as the pork goes into the pan, or the chicken, whatever you have marinated, just give it a chance. Just give it a chance to start cooking and get a little caramelization on the bottom. Don't move it around. You don't have to fret. Don't freak out. You're doing fine. Just let it sit there and watch the pork cook. And when you see a little bit of brown bits, a little caramelization, then you can toss it. This is nice. This is nice. If you give it a little bit of time, you're gonna see some caramelization in there, and then hit it with some chopped green onion. Look at this. Come here and check out the crispy bits. It's so nice. You want to give it a little time in there to develop some caramelization before you give it a flip. Give it that time. That is free flavor. And then that leftover sauce that's in the bowl, add it to it, cook that sauce out, and that's the finishing glaze. I know it's simple, I know it's not complicated, and I know that it's cheap, but sometimes that's all you need, and that's good enough. A little bit of chili oil vinaigrette, some nice cooked pork, and a big crunchy piece of iceberg. You don't need to be a magician to make that disappear. Yeah! It's so good. It's so good. What's in this? There's sugar in it? No. Is there, you put rice? No. This is when you know you have a good lettuce wrap. When it's kind of coming down your wrist, then you've done things right.